Now, the gentleman, I'm going to introduce you to this gentleman. He's bringing new life to old discarded guitars, but he's not making music with all of them, but creating works of art. Meet Ennio Valente. You're a musician, so you're playing the guitars. What made you want to start painting them too?
Okay, years ago, as a player, I used to collect high-end guitars. Very collectible stuff. The early Fenders, Gibsons, indigenous instruments to America, European instruments, electrics, acoustics. And one day I was showing them off to a friend of mine I used to play music with. I said, "What do you think, Richie? Huh? Pretty cool?" He looks at, these aren't art guitars. And he goes, he walks through, he looks at everything, he says, "Well, it just looks like a bunch of guitars." So I sat down and I was thinking, I go, what can I do? I want to do something different. I looked over at one of the guitars that I had, and then I looked over at a box that I had that was filled with different images and things that I've either scribbled down or ripped out of magazines. And I looked back and forth, and I had an idea, and I just started working with that. And it was very healthy to work to finally do art in my lifetime, because I always wanted to be an artist.
Yeah. Well, you're not a musician. A musician's a form of art, though, too, right?
That's true, yes.
So, evolving then from that first guitar that you created to some of the artwork that's behind us, what catches my eye when I first look at some of these is some of the ornate work that you've done on the body of the guitar, but also what you've done in the fretboard as well. Can you talk about some of these over here?
Yes. First started doing the bodies, and then I, without the necks, and I said, hey, let me add something to that. So I added the color in there. And I was very much inspired through watching children do art when I worked trauma.
And this one, I think it's unique, and now it's a 3D piece of artwork where you've put the candle holder inside of it, hangs on the wall, and then, like I said, there's a candelabra right there, right?
Yes, that was like going to the dentist. It was very difficult working on that. It was so damaged. And that's an actual candle in there too, so it works real well in a room for the mood where you have the candle lit with the dark, and it just illuminates, beautiful on the gold.
Wonderful. And then real quick, I want to step over here and check out this one. This one seems to have a very, is it a Latin-inspired to it here at all? So it has you said, is it a silver dollar up at the headstock there? Now, can you play all the guitars too? Are these playable as well as a piece of art, or?
All of the art is presented as art. All the instruments are presented as art. Some are playable, some are not.
And still ahead, what is in pieces becomes one again. And he was going to talk about his process and inspiration in fixing some of these old guitars and turning them into new art. Well, he started out owning guitars worth thousands of dollars, but that focus started shifting. Here's more with artist and musician Ennio Valente. Are you carving up $10,000 guitars to paint for your art projects here?
$20,000.
$20,000. Just burning it up.
$200,000.
Yeah, no. So where are you getting the guitars that you're painting and putting together here?
When I got rid and sold all my high-end guitars, got rid of them, people started giving me guitars and pieces, and most of the people that gave it to me, pieces were in the attic of their grandmother's place, they were relatives.
So heirlooms passed me down.
Heirlooms passed me down. A lot of them were not playable, broken, and as Melina will show you here, pieces of the face of the guitar. This is the actual color, what they start as. On the back, the bracing usually is broken.
So on the inside of our guitar, if we were to open it up, this is what would be on the inside?
This is what you would see, yes.
Cool, okay.
Yeah. And other instruments too, such as the mandolins, had bracing on the inside. So I would pull the parts out, cut them out, and then work with that, and I'll hand Melina this. And as you can see, I had an idea for that. I said, oh, good, I'm gonna do a three-dimensional piece instead of the two-dimensional pieces here. Sometimes I'll add a candle in here. I'll use different types of metalwork, antique turn-of-the-century coins, silver dollars, different pieces like that. I would repair these pieces. Then I would use a primer. I usually use a black. After I sand everything down, then I'll spray that, and then everything else that I use, especially if I'm doing color, even black and white, when I have a black background on it, it will show the color up better.
Well, then also over here you have some mandolins kind of in a pre-stage where you said you had kind of the primer on there, it's roughed up, and then maybe the finished product here.
I'll have an old instrument such as this is a very early, very rare mandolin. And this had holes in it, and it had, the finish was cracked and coming up off of the piece. The face of this was pulled off. I fixed all that. More of a person that repairs than builds. I do not build these instruments, but I'm very good at repairing them. So I would sand this down, prime it till it's nice and smooth, and then as you can hold it there, and as you can see, the two pieces of the same model of the guitar, before and after.
And you can definitely tell a Latin-inspired design behind a lot of his work. Now in the next hour, Ennio is going to play some flamenco music on one of his custom guitars. Welcome back to Better Kansas City. So when I set out to do this feature with artist Ennio Valente, I thought we were just going to talk about painting guitars, right?
Right, but you actually found out that sometimes you have to be inspired and you've got to spend time in some really dark and uncomfortable places.
That's right. Ennio had struggled with addiction and even tried taking his own life. And what happened next set him on course for a new life. Your inspiration for some of these is helping out soldiers and first responders and children that have dealt with PTSD in their lives. Can you talk a little bit about that and how it's inspired you to create your art?
Oh, yes. Many years ago, when I was younger, I flatlined so long the doctors said, I'll be in a medical journal somewhere. The doctor came up to me, I was laying in bed, and he put his hand here, looked at me and said, son, there's a reason why you came back. Later on, I sat down and I said to myself, well, if you continue to do and to drink and stay in your addictions, what will happen? I said, I will die. And then I said, well, Ennio, do you choose to live or do you choose to die? All of a sudden, my finger goes up. I said, I choose to live. Whoa, and from that second on, my whole life has changed. I dedicated my life to helping others.
Wow. Yeah, isn't that incredible how people have just one turning point and then it leads to such a brighter path? And I mean, for you, brighter that you're able to share this, I mean, it's a bright artwork along with brighter futures for other people as well.
Yes, thank you. And it has been very healthy. And it's something I always wanted to do and be was an artist, but I still can't draw a picture of a matchstick. Man, I can't do that, but I can do this, right?
Well, different strokes for different folks, right? Come on.
So I specialize in eating disorders. Been doing that for many years. And I'll hand this to a little girl, a little boy, just even if they don't play, just to hold something and give a smallest compliment. It's like, wow. So that's the positiveness of creating. It's not a, it's about me being able to tell my story in a different way and to pass love on. Love is our natural connection with each other.
Yeah, all you need is love, right? You know, Ennio has a fascinating story. He's been sober since 1981. He's been creating his artwork since then. It was a pleasure to get to meet him. And we had to cut a lot of the interview out just because we're scrunched for time. But totally cool dude. And if you get a chance to see his stuff, definitely recommend you check it out.
Well, and he should be very proud because so many people will get joy and really hopefully his artwork speaks to a part in their soul.
And that's what he was saying. When he takes his guitars, puts it in the arms of a kid who maybe has been going through a tough time, just to see the smile on their face, as it really helps him out. So.